think that's when the notification goes out, is when you start it.
Hello and welcome to the Stamp Camp. I'm Glenda Calkins, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Tonight we are going to be taking a look at the heat and stick powder and what you can do with it. You'll be surprised at all the different techniques that you can do with heat and stick. This question was brought to me by a customer who was wondering what you can do with heat and stick. I love to get your questions, so make sure that you email me, Glenda at TheStampCamp.com. If you have any questions regarding Stampin' Up! Products, how to use them, maybe there's a fun fold you'd like to see done, maybe there's a technique. That's what I'm here for, to answer your questions and show you the ins and outs of what you can do with that product that you ask about. So if I use your product or your question in a video, I will send you a package of jewels or gems in the mail, so I will need your snail mail address. You can email me that when you email me your question. So I'm just gonna wait a second so we can get some viewers on, and then we will get started. Now you may have heard, or maybe not, but Stampin' Up! Refreshed their clearance rack today. So the clearance rack has been refreshed. And if you remember the perfect partnering dies, I don't know what month they came out, but those dies are on the clearance rack at 60% off. So they are a steal. The stamp sets are still available. So grab those dies if you haven't before. If you are a customer of mine and order any of those perfect partnering die sets, I will send you a free PDF file so that you can create something right away with your new dies. You will need the stamp set that coordinates with it as well. There are 6 different dies, so that means 6 different stamp sets. So choose the set that you like. There's lots of cool stuff on that clearance rack at great deals. Think Christmas gifts. Now's the time to nab them because clearance rack items are while supplies last. What I'm also doing is offering a mystery box. So beginning December 1st, today through the 15th, if you place a minimum $50 order with me on my website and use the current host code for this month, I will send you a box or package based on your order total in the mail. It will be retired stuff, it will be new stuff, it'll be some used stuff, but it is a huge box. I had a person order a $100 order today and I have her box ready. It's going out tomorrow, but I just want you to see what she is getting. It is the medium flat rate box and it is packed in there. There is stamp sets. There's 12 by 12 designer series paper packs. There's 6 by 6 paper packs. I think there's, I want to say 6 or 7 stamp sets in there. There's embossing folders in there. There's ribbon in there. It is a packed box, so well worth your order. Plus, I pay the shipping to send that out, and that box right there is $17 to have it shipped out. So you will need to use the host code. You must use the host code. If you forget to use the host code, call Stampin' Up!, give them your order number and then the host code, and I will send you your box in the mail. It is a mystery box. Great for Christmas as well. So I see I have a few on, so we're gonna get started here so we can get done on time. So tonight we are going to be using the heat and stick powder from Stampin' Up! I'm going to show you 5 different cards using the powder in a different way. So let's get started. My first stamp set that I'm using is the Art Gallery, and it is a 2-step stamp. I'm gonna need to change the camera here so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right. So it is a 2-step stamp. What that means is it has a solid image and then it has another image that goes right over the top of it that is a more outline image. And this is a perfect set to use with the heat and stick. The colors that I'm using are Old Olive and Rio Red. You are going to be using a Versamark ink pad for your heat and stick. And then we have that heat and stick powder. Now heat and stick powder is a lot like embossing powder, but when you heat it, it turns into a glue. So the trick for using heat and stick is you want to just heat it until it goes clear. You don't want to, like embossing in powder, you don't want to go over it and over it and over it, because then it won't be sticky anymore. So it's just a quick melt down and then it will be sticky. If you heat it too long, which is the mistake that a lot of people make, it's not going to be sticky anymore, and you're going to wonder, why isn't this working? It's because you heated it too long. It's just a very quick heat. So we're going to use that gorgeous heat and stick powder, and we are going to be using this a lot tonight. It is the gilded leafing, and it is fun. I'm going to show you some tips for using that gilded leafing. So let's bring in my cardstock and get started on card number 1. Okay, I'm going to do this one with Piece of Very Vanilla. Now on the sample I posted on my blog, I did it in white, but I think I'm going to try it in Very Vanilla. So we're going to start first with our solid image. I got gilded leafing on my fingers. I'm going to have a lot of that flying around my room tonight. So I'm going to start with the real red, and we're just going to stamp that. And then I'm going to come in with the leaves, and that is with the Old Olive. My sample I did Pear Pizzazz, but I think I just want a little bit darker green. Looks like I probably need to re-ink my Old Olive because that looks a little light to me. Let's see, I'm going to kind of move this stuff out of the way as I do it. And now we're going to use the more detailed image right over top of the real red, and we're going to be inking it with the Versamark ink. And now I just probably get my head in the way here, but I want to, with a 2-step stamp, you stamp one image and then you stamp another one over the top. And that you're not going to be able to see that because of it being the Versamark. But we're going to come in with that heat and stick. So it's, at this point, it's a lot like embossing powder. And then I'm going to put that back in the jar. And then we're going to come in with our heat gun. So it is going to get a little noisy, but again, you're going to only want to heat that until it is cleared. You don't want to stay too long. So I'm going to just run my gun here a second just to heat it up. And now we're coming in. You see it just melted there, so we're moving along. Once it starts melting, it goes pretty quick. And that's just as quick as you want to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to be sticky. So now we're going to come in with our gilded leafing. And I have a Tupperware thing here. And we're just going to smush that over the top. And just rub it over the top like that, and it looks like, that looks a mess. Just wait. I have an old makeup brush. I kind of swirl that to get off any of that excess, get it off the back. But then, if you take a sponge dauber and just rub it over the top, it's going to remove the gold leafing where it wasn't inked with the Versamark. And just go where the heat and stick was. This is like the #1 tip for you, because you can sit and rub with your fingers and it just does not get the same as the dauber. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now I have a piece of real red that I already embossed, and I stamped it with the, I think it's Go To Greetings, Happy Birthday. And I stamped that and added it to the red first, and then I embossed it with that like quarter foil 3 tile. I think it's a 3D embossing folder. I think you can see that. My card base is the Very Vanilla, and this is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to attach this to our card front. I'm just going to use my liquid glue because it is embossed, and that works better than the adhesives when you have an embossed. Oops, I forgot a step. I have a piece of that distressed gold, and yes, I die cut out the center because nobody is going to know that I die cut out the center, and I can use that on another card. Why waste that gorgeous gold, right? Nobody knows unless they rip my card apart that it wasn't a solid piece. Okay, now we can put this on the front. That gold just makes it pop. I don't know how I could have forgot that. Let's see. Where? I got a little bit of glue on my thing, so I'm going to have to move that. I am going to pop this up on my card front. Bill is on the side here, so if you have any questions, just type away and he'll ask me or answer your question. He has the host code for this month, so you can get your mystery boxes. I have a piece of real red ribbon already tied up here. I'm going to use my glue dots. We'll put that on there. Then I have my favorite festive pearls, and we'll put a few of them on. And look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So that's with the Very Vanilla. Here it is in white. I kind of like the Very Vanilla. So striking. This one, I rubbed a little bit more of the gold gilded leafing off. This one I just re-inked my Versamark, so maybe I rocked it a little bit, but there you have that. Card number 1, using your gilded leafing heat and stick with a 2-step stamp. So card number 2, actually I'm going to rip this off because it's got glue on it. There we go. Card number 2, if you watched my ink refills, what you can do with ink refills, I showed lots of different ways to use ink refills, and this was one of them. This is like a faux polished stone. It's using the glimmer white cardstock, or the shimmer white cardstock, with the Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape re-inkers and alcohol. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some gold leafing to that. And I'm going to use an embossing folder. So I'm going to use that quarter foil. And I'm looking for the lumpy side, which is the side that's opposite of the Stampin' Up logo there. And I'm going to ink this with the Versamark. So you could do this to any cardstock. I'll show you another sample, but I liked it with the purple. So I inked that with my Versamark. I'm just going to put my cardstock down on top of the Versamark, and then I'm just going to kind of rub it like this. I'm not going to run it through my embossing folder. I just want to pick up a little bit of that Versamark. So I'm just going to kind of rub. I don't want to create the texture from the embossing folder. I just want to get those dots. Okay, now I'm going to take the heating stick. Where did I put that? And we're going to put that over the whole piece. Put that back in there. And if you can kind of see, it just picked up a little bit. It didn't give any texture, but it just gave a little bit of those kind of points from the embossing folder. And now I'm just going to heat it until it clears. I don't want to see any more white powder. Just like that. Now I'm going to bring in that gilded leafing, and I might need a little bit more. It's like snow. It sticks to everything. I'm going to just rub that over the front. Take my little brush here. You can see I've just got like little bits of gold. Okay, now I'm going to just rub over it again with that sponge dauber just to get any of that excess. Perfect. Love it. Now I'm going to take the medium size daisy punch, and I'm just going to punch out six of them, like so. And they have just a little bit of that gold fleck on them. I'm going to take a glue dot. Let's see. And I'm just going to put two on top of each other, giving them a little bit of dimension. I want this one on top. Kind of picking ones that have a little bit of that gold on, more so. Alright, so those are, aren't they pretty? It's hard to see on camera, but they're very pretty. My card base is the Gorgeous Grape, and this is 5.5 by 8.5. Then I have a little layer of white, and then I have some of that Highland Heather, and I embossed it with that same embossing folder. So let's go ahead and attach all these. So again, if you have a specific question regarding product or stamping technique, email me, glenda@thestampcamp.com. And if I use your question, I will send you a package of gems or jewels in the mail. If it's a quick answer, I will email you right back and let you know the answer. So then I took a piece of basic white, and I used the framed florets embossing or die set and cut out this gorgeous oval. I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday on here with this gorgeous grape ink. Make sure I got the right side here. I'm gonna just do right up there. And now you can see that when it die cuts them out. Well, one die cut will die cut the whole thing, and you get this center oval and then this outside edge. So what I like to do if I want to use the whole thing is I flip it over, match it up in there, and then I use my dimensionals to adhere the two pieces back together just by putting the dimensionals across the little strip. And that will hold it together. So we're going to take those off. All right, and we're going to pop that up on the front. Let's see that one of these that can pop out. There we go. I'm going to put dimensionals on my flowers here. And I used the Bows die or punch and the soft succulent cardstock and punched out my leaves. Now I'm going to put a couple like here and then one right here. And then I'm going to put my leaves in there, which I think I'm going to do just like that. So this one will come here, and I'll put some adhesive on the back side of this, and we'll slip that right behind there. I want to stay in the perimeter of my card. And I think I'll do the same thing over here. I'm actually putting them under the oval. But I think I got some dimensionals right there. So I guess I'll attach it behind the oval. Whatever, it all works. And that's within. Now I'm going to take to bring out the gold, I'm going to take these gold and put them in the center of my flowers. That brings out the gold in the flowers, and then I have to use the glossy, beautiful gold, purple, oops, glossy dots. Since I have all big ones, I guess I'll go with big ones. But there you have it. That's just picking up a little of that gold gilded leafing with an embossing folder by just rubbing that ink onto your cardstock. So here's the same thing, same folder, and I just did it on, I think this is cherry cobbler cardstock. So that's the same. This was just done with that polished stone paper. Okay, so card number 3, we are actually going to bring in the embossing, the cut and emboss machine, because I am going to emboss this designer series paper with this embossing folder. So when you do this one, you want to put the ink, the Versamark ink, on the side that has the Stampin' Up logo. So I'm going to just ink up the whole embossing folder. Make sure I get good coverage there. And I want this one, this side, to have it come through. This paper is the Boughs of Holly designer series paper. It is gorgeous paper. All right, so there's that. I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss machine, and we're going to emboss. Oops, we're going to bring that through. All right. Okay, so now we have our embossed. You can kind of see it. We're going to bring in that heat and stick. I want to get this corner a little bit and this one here. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. All right, so put that back in there. Bring in my heat gun. I see one spot I want to So again, you just want to heat it until it clears and move on. If you heat too long, it's not going to be sticky anymore. All right, and then we're going to bring in that gold leafing. Spread that over the top. And it looks like a mess. We're going to rub. Now we're going to take that sponge dauber. That is the ticket right there, I'll tell you. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's see. I got some. All right, beautiful. Let's start with my card base is very vanilla, 4 1/4 by 11. Then I'm going to pick up that red with a piece of real red, and we're going to put that embossed piece on there like so. So let me get the glue, I think, because this was embossed, and it is pretty fragile because Designer Series paper is a little bit thinner than cardstock. So that embossing folder can do the number on it. Plus it's curled a little bit, so the liquid glue helps flatten it out. You guys must be pretty quiet tonight because Bill hasn't said anything.
Oh, nobody's talking.
They're all learning about heat and stick. All right, then I took a die and stamped the "May the season be filled with peace and joy," and this is from the Framed and Festive stamp set. This stamp set is only available while supplies last or by January 4th, whichever comes first. So we're going to pop that up. Like so. Oh, I must have lost my, oh, there it is. I was going to say, I lost my bow. It was stuck. Grab a glue dot. Put that up there. Take these gorgeous gold pearls and we'll put them on our little sentiment here. But there you have it. Isn't that cool? So that's using your embossing folder with heat and stick, the gilded leafing, and that was on designer series paper. So the next one is one I think it's kind of fun. I think the girls will like it. Gigi and Sophia. I had a paper, I thought. I'll take this one. Because they have a little, I'm using the Christmas Scotty dog, but they have a little yellow lab. So this time I'm going to be using the stencil. It's called the Artistic, it's right here, Artistic Mix Decorative Mask. I don't know why they call it a mask. I call it a stencil. It's a stencil in my book. So I'm going to use the Night of Navy, and I'm going to put my stencil over the top, and I'm going to grab some painter's tape. I have some gold leafing I see on there. Hopefully that won't affect my finished product here. We'll see. So I'm just going to stick that down. I don't want it flipping up when I add the Versamark. So then I'm going to take the Versamark and just smush it over the top. Of my stencil, just like this. That looks pretty good. All right, then I'm going to pull that out of there. And we're going to put the heat and stick. Oh, I see I didn't get that area right there very good, but we'll see how it turns out. Where's my heat and stick? I'm going to put my heat and stick powder on there. And I want to get this corner a little bit, and we'll go right there. Oh shoot, I just put my finger on that. Darn it. Okay. Now we'll bring in the heat tool. Bring in that gold gilded leafing. Spread that over the top. Ah, spread that out. All right, now I'll take that sponge dauber. How cool is that? All right, now my card base is the Knight of Navy, and this is 4 1/4 by 11. I have a piece of Very Vanilla that's going to go over the top, and then we'll put our piece of gilded leafing using the decorative, what do they call it? They didn't call it a stencil, they call it a mask. I call it a stencil. Put that over the top. Since this wasn't embossed, we can just use our regular adhesive. Place that on there. And then I have a circle with our layering stitched shaped dies. This was from the stitch shaped dies, and this is from the layering circles dies. So we're going to stamp our sentiment on this banner with the Knight of Navy ink. May your days be furry and bright. So cute. And then we'll stamp this little doggy here in crumb cake on the Very Vanilla. Like so. Oh, he got some gold leafing, spotted him up. I got it on my ink pad too. He's got little spots. We're going to attach that to our circle. I have a little bow used with the punch that coordinates with the stamp set. I'm going to put a little glue dot on that bow, and we'll put that on his just like that. I'm going to take some dimensionals and we'll pop that up. We are almost done with this one. So it's using the heat and stick with your mask or stencils, whatever you want to call them. So that's going to go down here. Isn't that cute? And then this will go to the top. And then I'm going to bring in those pearls again. We'll put one on his bow, and then we'll just put on the sentiment here, like so. Isn't that cute? So that's Knight of Navy. This is the Evening Evergreen. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but they are, I like them both. I would do one in the red too, and then you got your Christmas colors. Okay, so the next one, we aren't going to be using the gold leafing or the gilded leafing, but we are using the heat and stick. Let's see here. I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. And I've already got my stamp on there. That's the one from the Piece to You. I love this stamp set. I die cut using the stitched rectangles a piece of white. We're gonna stick that on there. Let's see if I got a little sticky on there. So we're gonna ink this up. Bring this in so you can see what I'm doing. We're gonna ink this up with the Night of Navy, and we're gonna stamp that. One thing I like about the Stamparatus is you can go back and re-ink it and stamp it again. Oop. Oh, I might be done now. Actually, for the technique that I'm doing, that will be just fine. All right. So now you're going to take your Versamark and you're going to go over the entire piece. Ink that all up. Then I'm going to bring in that heat and stick. And we're going to put that over it. Cover the whole thing. And now we're going to heat that. And with it being white, it's a little harder to see when it goes clear. It's easier to see on the navy. Just trying to see on the white part. I see one spot. You'll see it's shiny and it was sticking to my fingers. Now I'm going to use a retired product. This is Dazzling Diamonds. And I've used this last week in one of my techniques as well. Maybe they'll bring it back. I'm not sure. But you can see that sparkle. Now when you use it with, when you use the heat and stick with your Dazzling Diamonds, which is a glitter, it's not a embossing powder, it is a glitter, you need to heat it again, and that melts that glitter into that heat and stick. It kind of sets it. And you can see it that it's setting because it gets very bright, sparkly. So when you do this technique, you need to heat it twice. Once to get your heat and stick into glue, and then the second time to set that glitter into that heat and stick. I just think that is so pretty. So my card base is the thick basic white, and this is 4 1/4 by 11. And then I use this contour, the scallop contour dies to get this one right here. We're going to stick that on the front. Like so. Then I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to stick that on there. I've got a Night of Navy banner die using the stitched, oh, I did do it twice, using the Stylish Shapes dies. I did the Night of Navy and then the smaller one in the basic white. I stamped it with the sentiment that comes in the stamp set. I thought it was perfect sentiment for this card. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals on there. And that will be it. Put that right across the bottom here. I think this is just a gorgeous card. So this one I put it right to the bottom. In this one I've got a little bit of white showing. I like it both ways. But you don't need any other bling on that because that Dazzling Diamonds glitter is your bling. That is just gorgeous. So that's another way to use the heat and stick is with that glitter. You can use it with any glitter, but this is the glitter that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. So we got the heat and stick with glitter. We got the heat and stick with the mask. It's the Artistic Mix Decorative Mask and your gilded leafing. Here's one, I didn't finish it, but this is the gilded leafing with that same stamp set, the Piece to You. I thought that was gorgeous as well. Did it the same way I showed you all the other ones tonight. Here's your gold gilded leafing with an embossing folder. This is using it with an embossing folder, but not running it through, just pressing with your own muscle. And then here we have our two-step stamp with our heat and stick and the gilded leafing. So those are the 5 different techniques I have for you using the heat and stick powder with different Stampin' Up! Products. So again, if you have any question regarding stamping, if you have a product that you don't know how to use, send me your question and I will try to show you the different tips and techniques for using your product. It can be product, it can be a fun fold. Email me, glenda@thestampcamp.com. If I use your question, I will send you some gems or jewels in the mail. I will need your snail mail address. So that is it for tonight. We'll see you again next week, and check my blog on Monday to see what the question of the week is. Again, it is mystery box time. So place an order with me, a minimum $50 order, must use the host code, and I will send you a surprise box in the mail filled with goodies. So you can give it at Christmas, you can keep it for yourself, the choice is yours, but that is it. Check that clearance rack refresh, there's lots of good stuff on that. And the last chance list for the mini catalog was released today as well. So if you have that mini, you got stuff on your wish list yet, make sure that you check that out. You can find that all on my blog, www.TheStampCamp.com.
Is that the box?
That's the box.
You show it to him?
Yes, I did. One more time.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
It is packed. I can't get any more in it. It's got designer.
Probably more stuff in there than what you would buy.
Oh yeah, there is. There's
Glenda's
probably close to maybe $200 in that box.
She's got a lot of stuff.
So I do. I have lots of stuff. So hit me up. And that is it for tonight. Thanks for stopping by.